Hey guys, it's me, EODGamerZ here, and today we have a fun one. So while everyone is out there telling you how to do the biggest damage, the million damage, 2 million damage, best builds you can go for that cost an arm and a leg, today I just want to share in this video a very interesting twist to it. I want to show you how to do the least amount of damage to your wallet, yet still getting the maximum gain that you can go as well. Now, I'm following an investment philosophy that I use in real life as well. Some of you might have heard it. It's called the 20-80 rule. I use 20% of resources to get 80% of value, and it really is because everyone is chasing after tier 1s. For example, in a specific case like Dead Eyes, everyone is chasing after these kind of bows with like projectile skills, +5, additional arrows +2 on a dual string bow. For your mages, they're going for the +5 lightning spells and stuff like that. All these kind of stuff are the chase. Everyone is going for them. They are super expensive. But even though I have these stuff all sitting in my inventory for a lot of money, prime quivers that also go for multiple amounts of divines, I am using very modest gear, which I'll show you in a little bit. But I want to keep this super generic. I want to impact as many of you as I can. So I'll start off from all the nice accessories that all classes use, and then towards the end of the video I'll show you some class specific things, but I'll also share with you the thought process so you can apply it regardless of what class that you play. Now let's start things first off with talking about unique items, because they are the chase right now. I see a lot of people forcing themselves to spend 1 to 2 divine on the Hand of Wisdom and Action kind of glove, but I don't even use that myself. I tried it before. I don't like it too much. It is very strong, but for the price that you're paying, I have a much cheaper alternative, and that is my glove over here. For those of you who maybe don't play these meta classes, what exactly is Hand of Wisdom and Action? Let me just show you real quick. So Hand of Wisdom and Action, this is a unique glove that is super meta right now. It is really strong because it gives you dex, it gives you int, it gives you attack speed that scales with dex, it gives you damage that scales with int, at the same time you get some evasion and energy shield, which a lot of monks, some gemmling legionnaires, if you build respectively, do very well. Dead Eyes, Spark Archmages, a lot of meta classes all play into this HOA right now, which is why it's super popular. So more expensive, more powerful ones can go up to multiple divines, and it can start costing a lot, especially if you're looking for more stats as well. But honestly, these stats are not necessary to pay a massive price. For me, I prefer to go a much more cost-effective route with my glove, which gives me that lightning damage that I can get from the HOA. It gives me the attack speed that I get from HOA. At the same time, I get a bit of extra physical, I get a bit of extra, for example, mana gain when I kill enemies here for a fraction of cost. Whenever I list this, no one is willing to even pay me a couple of exalted for this. No one is searching this at all. So all you need to do, and I can show you real quick, you can go into the trade site if you are looking to get a cheaper alternative. And of course, let's go up here. We go to find gloves right now. We want to look for gloves, and you can easily do this. So I'm showing you step by step what are the thought process. My typing is, oh my goodness. But okay, lightning damage to attacks. And then what are we looking for? Attack speed. So once you have these things that you're looking for, don't even bother with dex and in, because those will likely cost like a bit more money. So I'm going to go key this in. Let's look for some energy shield. Minimum 20 energy shield, shall we? And then you can search. You will find tons and tons of things which gives you good amounts, and I can even bump it up. Let's say I want a minimum of 16% attack speed. Lightning damage, 20. So we can continue searching. And I haven't even like tracked these prices myself, so this is the first time I'm looking. So if you just need the attack speed, you need that lightning damage, look at the amount of choices you have. You can even get resistances here for so cheap amount, like 2 exalted. You save yourself so many divines, and you get a lot of value as well. Let's say you just wanted one of the lines. You just needed intelligence, for example. Let's just say we just want one intel line. So I searched the intel line. You can even get stuff like this intelligence for 2 exalted. Very affordable. The INT requirement, it is a little bit high because of this one, but you can easily slap in a soul core, which is what I did on my account as well, to lower the requirements. So let me just show you real quick. As you can see, now I put in the cold resistance because I have a lot more intelligence now. But previously, I would just go into her, Elva, and then I'll go into like the soul core section here. You can see this soul core or Zan TP converts it over to intelligence. You can convert it over to dex. You can convert it over to like strength. It's so good now that you can just switch around, and this will lower your cost by a lot. It will reduce a lot of stress. If you don't believe me, try it out. It costs 2 exalted. You will get a lot of value out of the glove as well, especially since this gives me a lot of mana. So it removes the strain on like my requirements on my quiver, my bow, my gems. I don't really need that mana as much. otherwise finding it in other places, which is super, super expensive. So that is the first one, the glove. Let's talk about the second one, shall we? Which is really the belt. So this is the first time I'm showing you my belt here. I didn't corrupt this and took the L. I actually bought this up. Why do I buy at 44%? The difference between 44%, which I bought for 2 to 3 divines, versus a 70%, which is 50% more effective, is 17 divines, 18 divines more for barely 50% more value. So I'm paying 5 times, 6 times the price for way too much value. So I find 44% way too cheap, way too affordable versus a 70%. If you're going for an 80% line on the Ingenuity belt, it will cost you an arm and leg, and anything beyond that will cost you a hefty penny. But when you are min-maxing, stretching for that highest number, you actually don't get a lot of value. What are you going to one bang the monsters twice? So you do 200% of their life damage. At some point, additional damage is only just a very, very nice feeling when you can bang the boss faster. But other than that, I think this is great value. For those of you who don't even have a belt like this, like you can't even afford a divine belt, you can just go in easily. And let me just show you my stash over here. There are so many belts available, and I believe I even have like some in my inventory lying around that is like that I have been sitting there for days, and you guys can find easily in like any of the things. Let me just find. Maybe I just maybe I trashed it already. Yeah, all my 20 exalted belts, I already just sold it. But okay, just for a fraction of the cost, let's look at a 1 divine belt, which I probably didn't trash. So stuff like that, which I don't think a lot of these are 1 divine now at this stage of the game. You can get good amounts of resistances, you can get good amounts of mana, you can get stuff like this, which is like a lot of mana, a lot of cold rest, a lot of lightning rest to help you sort out a lot of your gear. The reason why Ingenuity belt is so good is because it helps you boost your rings, which give you a lot of resistances, can even give you a lot of damage. But belts, if you are looking to find resistances, it will alleviate a lot of pressure from your other gear as well, if you can find some rest in your belt, especially if you're an early game player. Otherwise, if you're a slightly later game, try the trick out buying a cheaper corrupted belt. You will save a ton of money, and you can always dump it back and barely even lose any money. So you don't get market risk also. What happens if people start farming the King of the Mist a lot more, the audience with a king, and then there's a flood of Ingenuity belts? You don't even have to get exposed to that. So these are all things that I'm considering as I'm playing my account, because I want to make sure I have as much capital I has rolling in my inventory, turning the market so I earn more money, which I will share with you guys. Like, how do you exactly use a lot of these excess cash? I feel that in Path of Exile 2, a lot of people feel that they just need to keep upgrading their gear because they don't know what to do with their excess money. But on the channel, if you guys see our other videos, I show you how you can turn money into even more money. That is why going with cost-effective gear, 1, reduces the stress, but 2, you're actually getting a lot more bang for your buck, and you become even wealthier that way. This is how like the wealthy people in real life also get wealthier, as I learned from like my colleagues and friends who are very wealthy. Okay, next up. Now we talked about the glove and the belt, which is very, very popular for your Hand of Wisdom action, your high tier Ingenuity belts, which every class uses. I want to talk about something else, which was the thumbnail, which is Estrenes. One important thing about Estrenes is it's super, super expensive for that 120, 130 all attributes. But you can actually get a lot of cheaper ones and might even be more value for your account if you look in other places. One of the example, of course, Estrenes is very, very difficult to replace because of that stats, but one of the places that you can look for is plus level to skills as well as spirit, which Estrenes just simply doesn't offer. And these are very, very underlooked places. So let me just go back into the trade site and show you that we can search. Some of you are looking for like the spirit in your Against the Darkness Jewel, which will cost you 20 to 40 divines if you want to get a nice one. Spirit in like Ass Kappa for your weapon. That's going to be super, super expensive. But let me just show you here. Let's go in Amulets. And then let's say if you're an Estrenes player, let's just assume that you're playing melee skills, right? You are maybe a bit of combatant. Or okay, to be fair, let's just put it as projectile skills, because melee skills, maybe a monk doesn't really want too much melee skills. So because you will have a lot more mana cost and stuff like that. So let's just talk about projectile skills, which is a lot more difficult to get as well. We talk about how to snipe these projectile skills for amulets if you're crafting yourself as well on the channel. You can check it out if you're interested. But let's just say we are looking for projectile skills, we are looking for spirit over here, and that is all. Or, okay, maybe we are looking for some stats. Let's say we are looking for some dex, because I'm a ranger. We're looking for some int over here. So I don't care what it is, let's just see. Estrenes costs us 100 to 200 divines. If I'm looking for this, which is really, really nice stats already, for example, like this one here, is just low roll, 3 divines. a pretty decent roll over here with a lot of nice stats, 3 divines, and you get 10% of the value, plus you get the projectile skills, the spirit, which will help you open your builds, save you money elsewhere. At the same time, you're paying a fraction of the cost. So really, really effective. 10% the cost for almost 100th of the cost of Estrenes. This is very, very good bang for your buck. Of course, you can customize what you want as well. Estrenes, you take the whole thing. Here you can choose. If you don't even want dexterity, you don't even want intelligence, these are your compromisables, you can just remove one of them. Let's say I'm just looking for intelligence right now, and then I search, it goes all the way down like 100 exalted, and you get even some strength on top of that for some of them, and you can customize as you want. So it's very, very affordable. This is something that a lot of people don't search into. You can even get a nice high roll one like this with like 33 strength. Look for something on the main line that you want. Something that Estrenes will not offer you is spirit and level to your skills. This is a place that is, I think, quite underrated at this point of time. But okay, so we talked about 3 things already, 3 amulets. I've given you recommendations for 3 of them. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is your other equipment, other gear, which maybe is a bit more specific slowly, but let's talk about rings because everyone uses rings. Now, my rings, I craft all of my rings myself. And before this, I was actually using very, very mediocre gear. So I slowly flipped them and stuff. One important thing that you need to do is you can actually get a lot of good value of your rings. If you're looking for these kind of rings, which we have like multiple attributes, for example, Dex and INT, which I have on one of my rings, this gives me nice lightning damage. This one is not cheap by any means. I use it as my core because it multiplies on the utility belt. But if you are looking for stuff like that, just get a 1 tier lower roll, 2 tier lower roll, and you'll find yourself saving tons of money. This one over here, which I am putting it as a mirror over here worth, is hundreds of divines worth of price, and I will not even use this. Like, I won't even get too much value out of the massive attributes for my class, and this is going to be too expensive for me. So don't aim for like the perfect items, the near perfect items, the super expensive ones. They are much more middle tier, which everyone is like crafting. Take advantage of that because they will be dumping their gear wanting to continue to craft. So pick them up at a much cheaper price and you get a lot of value because it's the perfect lines, just maybe 1 line, 2 line lower, and you can get very, very easily. Let's just look at this for example, okay? This ring over here. Some of you maybe are attribute stackers, you find it very, very pricey, super expensive. So this one here, we can go into the trade site and I'll show you using that as an example, how you will save a ton of money. Let's just say we are looking for dexterity, we are looking for intelligence, we are looking for all attributes because we are mainly focusing on the 2 of them. So if I were to, okay, let me just show you, if I look for 40, all attributes, the max roll is 19, or let's just put it at 15, so that is nice numbers to key in. And then rarity over here, which I key in, and I'm looking for a high rarity, like 30, which is the max roll. So if I search for just 4 lines, you can see that the stuff here are super expensive. You have hundreds of divines, mirror of divines, and featuring myself here, of course, but just for funsies. But if you are looking for this, it's super expensive. Hundreds of divines, only the people who have like tons of excess resources, they have people pooling money, maybe as a guild system together and stuff like that, can afford these kind of things, or people that are like min-maxing, wanting to do the biggest damage. If you are looking for this, all you just need to do is tune these numbers 1 tier lower. Put it at 30, you put it at 30, now I put it at 10, and I reduce this to 20. Just by reducing these numbers a slight bit, so 33% drop, the price immediately drops. Instead of like 30% decrease, now it's like barely like a 10th, 30% drop in efficiency, but what you get is a savings of like 10%, 20% the price, which is insane good value. I think that this is something that is really worth it. Of course, this is not breach rings, but these amulets instead, but I can just easily like switch to rings instead. And you can see 7 divines, 8 divines is still like at least 20%. 30% the cost of a Mirror of Kalandra, which costs like 500 plus, and you still get every single stat that you want. This is not too bad, right? You still get 60, 64 plus this 78, 70 plus lines, 78 lines on this one, which is very, very high already, and you're paying so much less. And of course, some of you watching this video, 8 divines is a lot of money to you as well. Totally understand. In that case, just tweak it down, 15, and maybe you don't even need the all attributes. Maybe you just need like, for example, 20, and then you will see, if this is what you want, you can get this for freaking 1 exalted. So you don't have to go for perfect lines, because those are much more harder to get. Whereas something like this one hasn't even gotten the bump from the attribute modifier, and it costs 1 exalted. So this is what I mean. You'll save tons of resources. Don't get the best of the best, Because at the end of the day, if you don't get near perfect items, you will get depreciated because more and more people will be farming the middle tier gear, dumping them on the market. The only ones that are worth really spending the money and keeping is your high-end gear because those are very rare and probability statistics-wise, it's very difficult to get the combination, especially on rings. So some recommendations that I have already for your rings, for your belts. Now I want to show you an example of what am I using for my own personal case in terms of my quiver and my bow. This is a bit specific, but I will extrapolate to your class as well. Now, if I talk about a quiver like this, it's very, very expensive to go for a projectile skills +2, which is a max roll, to go for a max roll damage with bows, to go for a max roll attack speed, and almost max roll lightning damage, max roll physical, almost max roll dexterity. This will cost an arm and a leg. Instead, what I just do, and the quiver that I personally use on a daily basis, costs less than a divine and I get a lot of value. So let me just take this out and show you guys real quick. I am putting this live on TV to devalue my own item, but I just want you guys to also save money and benefit a lot from the knowledge that we have and we want to share as a community. If you guys like this content so far, do help me give me a like, subscribe for more such future content. We'll really appreciate it as well. Say some nice things too. It will really make my day. But look at this. This quiver over here, which I'll show you in a bit. Let's look at the lightning arrow. 112. If I take this supposedly 100 divine plus item and slap it on, notice that I only get 16k. It's a 10-20% more. Sure, it's a lot of damage increase. 99 basic attack. I slap this on. 87. It is a decent amount of increase, but you're paying a lot more, like 100 times more. Instead, my quiver over here is a really beautiful quiver, but no one is searching for this. Firstly, most people search for Prime and Volant quiver, which is very class specific, I know, but just think of it in that logic as well. Maybe you have a different weapon, different shield that's slightly undervalued, the base is not perfect. I sacrifice that main stat 10% attack speed, instead I get critical hit chance. And what do I get? I get basically, if I were to compare, let me just put this up here real quick so we can compare. What am I losing? I am losing the physical damage, which is a lot of damage being lost. I am getting slightly better lightning damage. I am having 7% less damage with bow skills, 1 level in projectile skills less, which saves me mana as well, so it's not too bad. Lose a little bit of attack speed, lose a little bit of dexterity, but this item here costs us less than like 1 divine. When I put it up for 1 divine, no one bought it, no one cared about it at all because it's on such an off piece. And I can show you real quick, if I come in to the trade site here and we are searching for a picture perfect projectile skills +2 for the quiver, we go damage with bows, damage with bow skills. Let's look for like a max roll of like 53 because that's the max tier that you can get. I'm looking for an attack speed of the max roll as well. Let's look for 14 and I want dexterity in the subs, and let's look for some lightning damage since both of them have lightning damage inside. And you can see, let me just pump this up. If I look for something like this, search it, immediately on weaker quivers, the ones that are maybe not so meta, is going to be like 15 divines. This one here, which has a really, really low roll in the base stats, which we don't like at all. But you can see 30 divines if you sacrifice a bit of these low stats. So I'll just put Prime Quiver over here so I can filter in and you can see the difference as they stack up on each other. You can see here 200 divines, 1 mirror. This guy is P9. P6, P4 with projectile speed. This one has a lot lower, but it's a lot cheaper as well to buy because you sacrifice a lot on the flat stats. But let's just say, I just do one thing. I don't even need the projectile skills +2. So you see here, 30, 200, 1 mirror, and I just remove this from 2 to become 1. And it's not a massive L also. Immediately, the price changed drastically. So we have this guy that now appears at 3 divines. Immediately, you have an option available. And the reason for why it's still very hard is because we are still asking the highest tier of damage with bow skills, highest tier of attack speed. And we are looking for prime quivers. So I'm going to lower this. Let's say we just want anything to do with like 47. We just lose like 6%, right? 6% attack speed, I don't mind 9. Let's just have a number 9, for example. And then we search. Just changing the numbers a bit. Now you have a lot of options. From 30 divines, tweaking the numbers so slightly, you save 30% on the price. You have even find one that's like 1 divine right now. And if I don't even want prime quivers, if I'm flexible with my options, I search. I just want these stats. I lose out the main stat. You can immediately see a Volant quiver for arrow speed, which is not bad as well. You can get it for 10 exalted. You can get stuff for 20. So you sacrifice that 10%, the main stat. You might get some flat stats here. You can get this crit hit chance as well, which is 1 divine worth, this is something like what I'm using. So much value unlocked for a fraction of the price. You don't have to get the best of the best, and you will save yourself a lot of money as well. So that is an example that I'm talking about for a Quiver, for my class specific, that I want to share with you. Not only that, weapons is exactly the same thing. And I know some of you are Spark Archmages. You have a Siphoning Wand here with like +5 lightning spells, a lot of a very expensive multiple divine item. And if you're looking for like cast speed max and you're looking for the other stats, it will cost an armor and a leg. So a huge tip that I have, very similar to Dead Eyes, where if you're looking for very nice bows with 2 additional arrows on a dual string bow, how I do it is I actually look at the second tier. I look at lower value items, for example like this one here. It's a good alternative because I don't have to use the dual string bow. I don't need the additional arrows. It might not be as efficient, but this is a fraction of the price and it does a lot of damage because of the physical line. So this item here, 8 divines worth, whereas stuff like this bow here, someone offered me 100 divines. I rejected the 100 divine offer because I actually want to like spend it and use. Why am I doing all of annulment? What? So someone wanted it, but then I want to continue working on this bow. This is my eventual perfect bow that I'll do towards the end of the game. Really nice as well. So these are some tips that I have in terms of gearing. Don't have to take the best. Take maybe a piece that's not so good. Switch it up a little bit. Your class, you are more familiar with your class probably if you're playing Dead Eye. I think that the dual string bow is really fantastic. I use this bow from time to time as well when maybe I'm like breaching. But this is my inventory. I'm trying to sell, I'm trying to roll my stock, and how I make use of more money and roll the game. If you found these tips helpful, do like, comment, and subscribe for more such future content. And the more important part is, EOD, if you're playing at so little resources, what do you do with your excess cash? How do you roll your money? If you're interested to know how I roll my money and actually make like a Mirror of Kalandra and more, I actually share with you guys on the channel why I'm using a lot of my investments to keep rolling and earn even more money. Sometimes when I have extra spare, I just swap this on and wait for the other one to sell. So you get a lot of the benefit from rolling your inventory because you can use them too. Check out these other videos, check out the channel, and like, subscribe. We'll cover every league here in Path of Exile 2. So we'll be with you. See you guys in the next video.